How you doing, guys? My name is Mike Smith. I'm 1/5 of the East Texas Kayak Fishing Board. And man, welcome guys to the 2020 season. We are definitely excited to get this thing started. We have some great events lined out this year. Starting here at Lake of the Pines, we'll go over all this stuff in a minute. But man, we've got some great prizes, some great giveaways, and we are just really, really pumped to kind of roll this thing out and get this thing going. We do believe this will be our most successful is the word I'm looking for, but also just like productive, in growing our sport and growing it in this area trail that we've ever put out. And so we really are focused this year on, growing our community and then just providing some really good experiences at these tournaments and then offering some great paybacks, some great giveaways, and just, having great time. So that's really our focus here. We know that our goal has never been to be like the absolute most competitive trail that there is. We want to grow the sport, we want to grow community, and we want to be competitive in doing that. And so that's really what we're aimed at here. So anyhow, welcome to the trail. We're excited to be here. We're definitely pumped to get this thing rolled out, as I mentioned already. I'm kind of rambling, but this is your online captain's meeting. This is trail stop number 1, Lake of the Pines, February 22nd, this Saturday. And so the way this is going to work here is I have a list of notes, and I'm going to go through these here as quickly as I can for you guys. And then after the video, you're going to go below and you're going to comment that says, yes, I've watched the video, and yes, I agree to these things. As far as your identifier, that's going to come out separately. It will not be mentioned in this video in case something happened, with, I guess, a link or something got published early or whatever. It's not going to be in this video. Your identifier is going to come out in TourneyX at a specific time. It's usually, between 6 and 8 p.m. the night before the tournament is when that will be released. So it won't be released in this video. You'll have to check TourneyX for that. As far as the everything else goes, what I'm going to do here is kind of put some stuff up on the screen for you guys. I have a schedule, some highlights, some things that are important for you guys to know about. And then if it's super important, what I'm going to do is like link some, like down in the description here, I'll put some bullet points so that you guys can go back and see certain topics if you need to. So that way you can click back to them and get to them quickly. So to get started here, the schedule for, this Saturday, it is Saturday, February 22nd, Lake of the Pines. 6:30 a.m. is going to be the earliest that you can launch your kayak. So no launching before 6:30. Your 7 a.m. is going to be your first cast. 3 p.m. it lines out, and at 3:45, that is the deadline for all of your fish to be submitted in TourneyX. So 3:45 is going to be the deadline. That's also going to be the time for you to check in via TourneyX. So that's something new this year. I'll talk about that here in a second. Once you get off the water, there's a feature in TourneyX that you have to click on to check in. And so if you're not sure how to do that, make sure you look at TourneyX well ahead of time. But it's a really simple process. You basically check in. That lets us know that you guys are off the water and that you're safe and that you're either at the event where we're at, already, I guess, standing there, or you're on your way. And so make sure you do that. That's by 3:45. 4 p.m., we're going to have a meal that's going to be provided by Lake of the Pines Chamber of Commerce. That's going to be at the Bullfrog Marina. And then you can Google that for the address. And then at 4:30, we're going to have our awards. And so that's going to be the schedule. I'll try to put it right here again for you guys to see. And then pause the video and take a look at that without me talking. All right, guys, so first thing we want to do is go over a couple of rules, just highlights, I guess, of the rules to make sure that there's no questions. Now, if you do have questions about these, the thing to do, especially if you're a new angler and you haven't fished one of these events, make sure you go to our Facebook page. And if you need any clarification at all, reach out on that Facebook page, tag myself or tag Blake Russell or Dave Newman, the champ, Dwayne Taff, or Nick Robertson, or just post the question there and you're going to find the answer you need. So if any of this stuff is fuzzy, make sure you ask before you get to the lake and before you start fishing on Saturday. You don't want to have any deductions or any disqualifications because you didn't fully understand the rules. So, first thing is, this is a 5-fish CPR tournament. So it's a CPR tournament, catch, photo, release, a 5-fish limit. We have the standard for the community, I guess, across the nation is there's 2 things that you can use to measure your fish. One is a hog trough, the other is the catch board. Those are the 2 that are approved. Make sure that you have one of the 2 with you. If you have something else, unfortunately, you'll be disqualified. You can't use those. So it has to be a hog trough or it has to be a catch board in order to participate in the event. Now, when you're measuring your fish, the thing to remember, especially if you're a young angler or a newer angler, I should say, is that fish has to be left side up, has to be facing up the left side. It has to be all the way, the nose has to be all the way butted up to the fence of your catch board or the fence of your hog trough. And then there has to be 0 crack in the mouth. So you want to make sure you push that fish to where there is no even, nothing showing between the lips there. If there's any crack, or if the judge deems that there's any crack, you can end up with a 1-inch deduction on that. So make sure that fish is left side up all the way up to the fence, and that's how you need to measure your fish. All right, so the next thing here is your identifier card. Now, I mentioned earlier that's going to come out in your TourneyX app. And so what I didn't put on here, we're also going to be publishing that to Facebook, and it'll be sent out by email as well. So you're going to definitely, if you don't find it on the app, it'll be on the Facebook page. It'll be on coming to your email that you've signed up in TourneyX for. So you will have that identifier given to you. Now, as far as using that identifier, when you take your photos, that identifier has to be written on a card inside the picture. You cannot write it. Some trails will allow anglers to actually write the card on their hand, and they'll put their hand on the fish in order to take the picture. We do not allow that for East Texas. So the card has to be visible. The code has to be written on the card. It has to be visible inside the picture. So please do not write it on your hand. That will lead to a disqualification of the fish. You will not have a good day if you do that. Don't make that mistake. We've had people do that in our grinds, and it's just not fun to disqualify those fish. So please understand, the code has to be written on a card, and it has to be in the photo. And you can't have half the card missing in the photo. You have to have the entire fish with the card visible in the photo. And so make sure all of that information is there so that you don't lose any deductions and you don't get any disqualifications on your fish. So, and if there are any questions about that, again, the code is going to be given out in TourneyX. It'll be sent by email, and it'll be sent by on the Facebook page the night before the event. So if there are any questions, make sure you comment again on that Facebook page to get the clarification you need. So these are a couple of things that could lead to totally being disqualified in the tournament. So I want to make sure I kind of outline these. You have to wear your PFD at all times. If you're caught in the tournament not wearing your PFD, our trail is all about safety and growing the community. As we said, we can't have people getting hurt because they're not following instructions. So if you're not wearing your PFD, you'll be disqualified. If you fish before the official cast time and someone, you were to get caught doing that, then you would be disqualified from the event. Also, using trolling motors without prior authorization would lead to disqualification. So there's no motors at our events unless you have reached out to the board with a specific concern, and then we have, discussed that and gotten back to you. If you have no idea what we're talking about, then that does not apply to you. That means that you have to pedal or paddle. You can't use motors. So these are 3 things that will lead to disqualification very quickly. So make sure you're always wearing your PFD, that you are not fishing before you're supposed to, and that you are not using trolling motors unless you have visited with the board. So don't do those things, you'll be good. All right, guys, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, you must wear your PFD at all times while you're on the water. It has to be a PFD that's Coast Guard approved, and it has to be worn according to what the manufacturer intended. So, for example, you can't have a regular life vest that goes around your chest wrapped around your leg, or you can't have it wrapped around your waist. If it's intended to be worn around your chest, you have to wear it around your chest. And so that is a non-negotiable for our trail. You have to be wearing your PFD at all times while you're on the water. Now, in low light conditions, if you launch before the sun's up, make sure that you have a 360-degree light, or you have some sort of lighting on your kayak that can be viewed 360 degrees around. As we're on the water, we have to follow all the Texas Parks and Wildlife and Coast Guard regulations. So that includes if you're launching before it's bright enough outside to see. You have to have a light, and then you also have to have a whistle or a horn in your kayak as well. And so make sure that you either have a whistle or horn and you have a light, especially if you're launching before sun's up. As I mentioned earlier, we are using TourneyX to check in and out of the event. So what this means is that basically at 3 o'clock, the last cast occurs. At 3:45, you have to have checked in and out of our event or in the TourneyX app, or you will be disqualified. Not having cell phone service is not an excuse for this. And so, make sure that you give yourself plenty of time, that you find some service and you're able to check in and out of that event. And so what this allows us to do, the board and the judges, is it shows us that the angler is off the water, that they are safe, and that they are in process of heading to where we're holding the award ceremony. So again, this is a non-negotiable. We're having these digital or online tournament captain meetings. And the way that we're able to do this is because TourneyX has added some new features. And so that check-in is it has to be done by 3:45. Please, don't go out and slay the fish, have over a 100-inch day, and then forget to check in and get disqualified. That would just be awful. So what my recommendation would be, set an alarm on your phone for 3:05, 3:10 to remind yourself to go into the app, click check in, check out. That way that we know that you are off the water and that you're heading to where we're doing the awards. Now, if you're not sure how to do the check-in and check-out, I'm going to try to get Dwayne Taff. He made a video on his phone on how to do this. It's literally like a 3-second process. I'll get him to try to post that in our Facebook group, and then if that doesn't help, you can always play around with the app and look at it yourself. But if you can't figure it out, ask a question in our Facebook group. That way you'll know how to do it before the event and before something happens and you get disqualified. Again, the deadline for the check-in, check-out is 3:45. If it's after 3:45, for any reason, cell phone service, not having cell phone service included, you will be disqualified. So don't let that happen to you. Make sure you set an alarm. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get service if you don't have it. Leaderboard. All right, guys, this is new this year. Last year, we would have the leaderboard open where you can see how everybody's doing all the way up to like the last hour of the event. This year, we took a vote and we are closing the leaderboard for the entire duration of the event. So you will not know how anybody else is doing besides yourself. You can still manage your catch. You can still look at all your submissions and track everything that you normally would. You're just not going to know how Dave Newman's doing or how the champ's doing. You're going to have to just kind of wing it and see how you're doing. And so there's two schools of thought here. This means that it takes that stress off. You get to focus on you, what you're doing, how you catch fish, how you catch bigger fish, and it just, you don't know, right? You don't have any clue anybody else is doing. It also allows for some surprises at the end. So we just figured out, took a vote, and we decided we would change this part of the aspect of the tournament. So it should be fun, to be honest. It kind of would be exciting to see how you end up after, not knowing anything all day long. So we are excited to roll that out and see how it goes. But just remember, if you log in on the day of the tournament and you're trying to see, like, let's say you submitted a fish or two and you want to see where you are, you're not going to be able to see that. So the app isn't broken. That is by design. The leaderboard is turned off all day for the duration of the tournament. And it will be turned back on, like, I think either after the event or the day after. So you will go back and see it. You just won't be able to see it during the day. So all of the fish that are submitted are going to be judged by an off-site tournament judge, right? These are somebody who's not fishing the event. It's not one of us from the board who is fishing the event also. It's somebody else that is totally unrelated. They're not even at the lake. They are judging our fish for us, and they may reach out to you. So if you submit something that needs some clarification, they might reach out to you by cell phone, text message, or by phone call for that clarification. So make sure if you do get a phone call, answer it. It could be the judge calling to ask a question about your fish. But again, that judge is going to be a tournament judge that is not one of us, not one of the board members who are fishing the tournament as well. It's somebody that's off-site that we've contracted, that we've spoken with, someone who is familiar with kayak bass fishing. They know the rules. They know how this thing goes. There's just somebody who didn't fish this event. They're going to judge our fish for us. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this captain's meeting. So I hope you guys had understood the information here. I hope there was no questions. If there is, make sure you go immediately to the Facebook page, post your question there, get some answers. You can tag myself, Mike Smith, or Dwayne Taff, Blake Russell, Dave Newman, or Nick Robertson, or just ask the question in general. There's a lot of helpful people there that can point you in the right direction. So again, no questions, then we're good to go. Make sure you look out for your email. It'll be, like I said earlier, the identifier will be email in the TourneyX app and then post it on the Facebook page. So get that the night before the event, and we should be good. So I'm excited. Hope to see you guys on the water. From what I hear, the water is way up, so I think it's going to be a challenge to find fish. Should be good. Should be fun. So we're going to be able to get into some spots where boats hopefully can't. Maybe those fish have pushed up, and we'll see what happens, man. We're just going to go out there and just go fishing. At this point, it's still raining right now. Like, it's in the middle of the night, it's still raining. So at this point, all bets are off. Like, I know some people who've been pre-fishing, they had like things figured out, and all this rain has just totally destroyed it. So if you didn't pre-fish like myself, it doesn't matter. Let's show up, go fishing, let's catch them. All right, we'll see you guys there. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Saturday. All right, God bless you guys. Have fun.